Let me be very clear. I'm not going to vote for a wall under any circumstances, and I do support border security. And if we want to talk about that, let's do that.
And I think seeing a plan that's out there, talking about it with folks, knowing that he's not going to do anything. He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory. That's not how you stop this.
Let me be very clear. I'm not going to vote for a wall under any circumstances, and I do support border security. And if we want to talk about that, let's do that.
The best thing to do is to continue to remind everybody where Kamala was just 4 short years ago when she ran for president. First, she said she was against fracking. Now she's for fracking. She was against the border wall. Now she's for the border wall, right? She was going to, change the economy for the better, and the economy's been an unmitigated disaster. And we're out running ads to remind people of where she was 4 years ago.
No concern about flip-flopping?
No concern about flip-flopping.
Can I finish, Simone? Will you just shut up for a minute and let me finish?
Pardon me, sir. You don't get to tell me to shut up on national television.
And we don't tell people to shut up on this show.
Well, apparently we have another flip-flop for Kamala Harris. This time it is on the border. She wants to build a border wall and stop illegals from coming into the country, which is odd because she was the border czar, then wasn't the border czar. She thinks we should let in as many people as want to come, legalize them, and give them stuff. I mean, just take a look at all the things she said in the past about this, and then you explain to me how she got to the position of, oh, yeah, we should build a wall. Other than I want to win an election and not actually do any of the things I'm saying.
And folks, on the subject of transnational gangs, let's be perfectly clear. The president's medieval vanity project is not going to stop them. This issue is about a vanity project for this president.
Right. Well, Chris, the best thing to do is to continue to remind
it is
everybody
a problem of his own making. And listen, when I travel this country, folks have plenty enough problems that they need their president to focus on instead of a wall that, by the way, because I was a prosecutor for many years, including the Attorney General of California, I specialize in transnational criminal organizations. That wall ain't going to stop them.
This weekend, but the reality is that she cannot distance herself from the Biden-Harris administration.
You don't need to build a wall. This is a crisis of his own making. And by definition, just plain speak, basic English language definition, it is not an emergency. What's going to end up happening is that he will end up, without any question, if he proceeds, we're going to be looking at a situation where, in particular, homeowners and landowners in places like New Mexico and Texas are probably going to look at government taking their land. We're looking at military resources being focused, again, on the president's vanity project instead of focused on real national security issues.
It's the president's vanity project. Listen, if we deconstruct, get the pun, deconstruct wall. If we deconstruct the issue, let's be clear, and again, let's just point to the facts and the evidence and the data. And the fact is that we are not facing a crisis. The crisis we're facing is a crisis of leadership. That's the crisis. That's the crisis. And a wall won't cure that. And a wall won't cure.
We don't need to build a wall. And by definition, just plain speak, basic English language definition, it is not an emergency.
He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder.
To suggest that we have to build a wall across our southern border because there are terrorists who are trying to invade the country, it couldn't be farther from the truth. It couldn't be farther from the truth.
Out of the terror arrests across the country, we've learned several men with suspected ties to ISIS living in the U.S. have been taken into custody.
Sources familiar with the matter tell us the men crossed the southern border, some over a year ago.
Almost 100 people on the terrorist watch list were released into the U.S. by the Biden administration during a 3-year period.
Tonight, an alarming development in the border crisis. Among the record number of migrants crossing the southern border was a member of an Afghan terror organization.
We are learning that under the Biden and Harris administration, the Border Patrol agents encountered at least 375 illegal migrants on the terror watch list right on the southern border. But what's more shocking is at least 99 of these individuals were actually released into American communities. Includes at least 2,000 Afghan nationals, 33,000 Chinese nationals, 551 Iranian nationals, 520 Syrian nationals, and 3,000 Uzbek nationals.
To suggest that we have to build a wall across our southern border because there are terrorists who are trying to invade the country, it couldn't be farther from the truth.
Now Vice President Kamala Harris is stepping into a new role, taking the lead on the immigration crisis.
Within months of taking office, Vice President Harris was assigned the difficult task of the border, checking in with Central American governments and trying to get to the root causes of immigration problems in the United States.
It has been 91 days since President Biden named Harris as the administration's border czar. Republicans have heavily criticized her for not visiting the border since then, though she has made other trips to places like Guatemala.
As the border crisis escalates, President Biden is putting the vice president in charge.
When she speaks for me, doesn't have to check with me. She knows what she's doing.
The work will not be easy, but it is important work.
I want them shut down. I want them silenced. I want them muted. I think they are horrible for our society.
So there's the InfoWars MD line that I don't talk about enough that is all the highest quality, whether it's turmeric or whether it's natural sleep aid or whether it's saw palmetto with other compounds that are great for your prostate, also great for women's breast. It affects the same type of tissues that have those hormonal fluctuations. I'm not a doctor, but I read the literature. You need to go to InfoWarsStore.com and go to the sections that have the whole line, over a dozen products, InfoWars MD.
We cannot continue to have an administration and a president of the United States who puts his vanity projects ahead of the needs of the people of our country. And let me just be more clear about that. I've been to the border. I prosecuted transnational criminal organizations. The idea that he is trying to say that we have people that are trying to invade our country to commit mass crime is a crisis of his own making. You talk with the people who take an oath to protect our border, and they will tell you the trafficking that is happening of drugs and guns coming into our country, it's happening at ports of entry. We don't need a multi-billion-dollar wall. That wall ain't gonna stop them. We need resources at our ports of entry. And of course, we need to have border security. But this is a crisis of his own making because it was a campaign pledge that took heat and propelled him to victory. And he feels the need to keep reciting what is a lie.